Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 704th edition of the Feuerstein's Fire American Soccer Show. I'm your host, Daniel Feuerstein, give you American perspective of our clubs, leagues, players, national team, and other fabulous moments. Get your daily reading from me and other writers over at Beyond the 90, at beyondthe90.substack.com, and locally over at Bad Dog Sports on New York Soccer. And come on over to the show and let's have some fun. The chat room is open and on YouTube. Come on in, discuss amongst yourselves if you like. If you have a question for me, I'll try to answer to the best of my abilities. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the show if you want your daily American soccer content. So, as already on Fox Sports 2, they just announced the CONCACAF Champions Cup draw results, 2026 edition, starting in February of next year. And obviously they just did it, so I don't have the graphic ready for you, but later on, either towards the end of this year or when we start the new year, I'll put up a graphic for everyone to know who will face whom, not just in the first round, but which teams will face whoever they face, either the automatic bid for the round of 16 or qualifying for the round of 16 after the first round. But these are the matchups right now. In the first matchup, we have Pumas, UNAM, UNAM, from Mexico, taking on San Diego FC from MLS. The LA Galaxy of MLS taking on Sporting San Miguelito of Panama. Cruz Azul of Mexico taking on Vancouver FC from the Canadian Premier League. Monterrey of Liga MX taking on Club Gelahu from Guatemala. We have LAFC taking on Real España from Honduras. Nashville SC taking on Atletico Ottawa from the Canadian Premier League. Club America from Liga MX against Club Olimpia from Honduras. We have the Philadelphia Union of MLS taking on Defense Force FC from Trinidad and Tobago. They were the third place finisher of the Caribbean Cup. Tigres, I did get it correct. I apologize. Yep. Tigres UANL of Liga MX taking on Hamilton Forge FC from the Canadian Premier League. We also have FC Cincinnati taking on from the Dominican Republic O&M FC. And finally, the Vancouver Whitecaps FC taking on Cartagenas from Costa Rica. So those are the 11 matchups for the CONCACAF Champions Cup as we get ready for that tournament starting this coming February 2026. Watch all matches live on both either Fox Sports 2, Fox Soccer Plus, FS1, and of course Spanish language on TUDN as well as Univision. So those are the matchups for the first round. And of course, once again, LD Aluenza from Costa Rica winning the CONCACAF Central American Cup goes to the round of 16. Seattle Sounders, winners of the League's Cup in the round of 16. Inter Miami winning the MLS Cup Championship over the weekend in the round of 16. Also, we have Mount Pleasant from Jamaica winning the Caribbean Cup. They're in the round of 16. And Club Deportivo Toluca, they are the winners of the aggregate points, winning of both seasons of the Apertura and Clausura seasons of Liga MX. But let me just say this right now. These past couple of days was exciting and fun to watch. Obviously, the World Cup draw was unbelievable. I know the entertainment portion of the draw went a little too much. Like everyone else they just wanted to get the draw out of the way. You know, just get to the draw. Want to see where these teams are going to be playing, who, in which group, which position. Let me just say this. This new pathway formation was a little strange to me. because you're so used to having the four pots on the left side of the stage of the draw table. And then you have on the right side of the stage, you would have the pots for for all the groups that they would be playing in. Um, I would say three-quarters of that was scrapped for this new pathway design. So instead of being selected into which position in which group, well, let me tell you, that automatically happened. And it's just one of those things where you just have to say that it's a little strange for me. It was. It was very strange to see that. It was very strange to witness that in front of me. And all I can say is looks like this will be part of the World Cup draw from here on out. Obviously, they're trying to avoid knockout games early in the tournament. They want to have it later in the tournament, which I do understand where they're coming from. I understand what FIFA's trying to do, but uh, to me, it just feels like that. It just feels like, they don't want to lose something too early. Um, and look, I understand where people are coming from and why they didn't want these super matchups in the round of 16 or in the quarterfinals. You want them in the semifinals. And now with the added round of 32, since now it's a 48 team World Cup, um, I understand now why they did this. So then you only have four pots, 12 teams per pot, and now we're going to make it a little bit, I guess, easier, a little bit better, and then the suspense will happen later on in the tournament when we get to the World Cup this upcoming summer. It's almost coming, folks. We're right now in the month of December. We got January, February, March, April, May, and then June. It's almost coming. And don't forget, when we get to March, which will be December, January, February, 4 months later on, the playoffs for the two intercontinental spots, and then the four UEFA playoff spots, they'll be filled in very soon. So all you can say is that it's coming very quickly. Coming very quickly, coming very soon, and then all of us will be wondering which of these teams will get their opportunity to be in the World Cup. Because this is where the final excitement comes. For myself personally, I think the playoff for the Pathway C in UEFA, which involves Turkey or Turkey, Romania, Slovakia, Kosovo, that's the one I think is more interesting because, okay, sure, Turkey is stronger than all three combined. But still, facing Romania, and yes, it'll be in Turkey, you wonder if there could be a possibility of an upset. I think it could come depending on what happens and which side will hold their nerve. One wrong move in any of those matches and the red card comes out, it changes everything drastically. very, very drastically. So we have ourselves a hell of a moment here, folks. We have ourselves a hell of a moment. And I really do hope we do get these great games. I really do hope we do have these wonderful games coming in June, early July, and we get ready for this fantastic World Cup. I really believe this is something that could be better, stronger, greater, but hopefully it will not be watered down. That is my main concern for this upcoming World Cup, that you leave it at 48. It was fine at 32, but you leave it at 48. I know they talked about 64. I really think they should not even bother with 64, because if you do that, well, then what's the point of going through qualification? The beauty of World Cup qualifying is that it writes a story every single time a new cycle begins. You will always have the typical teams qualifying, but you get those newer ones coming in. Look what happened when you take out Canada, Mexico, and the United States out of CONCACAF World Cup qualifying. It was a free-for-all. And then you have Curacao, you have Panama, you have Haiti automatically going to the World Cup. Now you got Jamaica and you got Suriname attempting a second chance for the World Cup in the playoffs. And if they win their second chance match, they go for the third chance against respectively either Iraq or Congo DR. What can we say? I'll tell you what I can say. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's really going to be fantastic when we get to the World Cup itself. Without a doubt, we are going to have ourselves a heck of a tournament. And I also believe we are going to have ourselves a fun time this upcoming summer. So, all we can say is this. We're going to have some excitement. We're going to have some fun. We're going to enjoy ourselves of this upcoming summer. And we are going to see what these matches will be, what they will bring, and at the same time, how much excitement we're going to have for the upcoming FIFA World Cup this summer. Canada, Mexico, and the United States. Excitement, fun. Trust me, it's going to be fantastic, and I cannot wait. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you about tonight's sponsor, this segment's sponsor, Dino Luzzi Energy Drink. When I need that extra kick to power through match analysis and late night transfer rumors, there's only one drink that delivers authentic Italian energy, Dino Luzzi. Crafted in Italy with the same passion I bring to the show, because real energy comes from real ingredients, just like real soccer talk comes from real insiders. We had ourselves a heck of an MLS Cup Final, excitement galore. Unfortunately, as always, someone has to win, someone has to lose. And we don't like to talk about losing, but you know what, though? Got to give credit to where credit is due. Vancouver Whitecaps, they did their best. To talk about them once again, we have with me from away from the numbers up in Vancouver, British Columbia, Michael McColl joining us tonight. Michael, obviously, tough result for the Whitecaps, but I take nothing away from their run. I take nothing away from what they've done all season long. I thought that one moment, I really thought they were going to take the lead, and it was double doink and then triple doink. And then afterwards, it was all gone from there.
Yeah, I mean, the two defining moments in the game. One of them, Sabi's triple post, and then about 6-7 minutes later, the second goal, pouncing on the turnover, that was where the match turned. If it had gone to 2-1, I mean, you could be talking about a whole different thing. I think everyone at Vancouver, especially Jesper Sorensen, after the game, very philosophical about it. We've ridden our luck at times. We had a triple post go in our favour against LAFC. So the woodwork God giveth, and then they taketh away. But, I mean, it's football. Games, cup finals are decided by the smallest things. Good teams and great players capitalise on those moments. And Messi did exactly that on Saturday afternoon. I think overall, over the 90 minutes, I personally feel the Whitecaps were the better team, but that counts for nothing if you don't do anything with all the possession. And Miami, I think, deserved winners in the end.
I have to say that the opening goal, as cruel as it was, the own goal by Ocampo, I really thought Vancouver, to me, felt like the second leg from the Champions Cup match in the semifinals all over again. I really thought that, look, okay, Vancouver got, well, it's an own goal, unfortunately, but, Miami gets their opening goal, but they worked themselves back into the match, go into the halftime, and I'm thinking to myself, there's an opportunity here that Vancouver can do like what they did earlier this past early season around March, April, where you put three past them.
Yeah, I mean, we thought the same when it went to 1-1, and then the Whitecaps immediately back on the front foot. Back in May, it was 2 goals in 2 minutes. It looked like it was going to be 2 goals in 2 minutes again this time around. It just wasn't to be. The Whitecaps started the second half superbly. They ended the first half strongly as well. They were slow to get into it. I think they wanted to kind of play a tighter game. The worry was always going to be the long balls forward into the space that our fullbacks left, because we have 2 fullbacks that like to get forward. And when you've got players like Messi that can just put the ball forward and then it gets knocked on by DePaul in that first goal, Allende was always going to cause issues up that side. And they capitalised on the space. Miami were clinical in the chances that they got. They didn't have a lot of them. And I don't feel that Messi did that much in the game. But the 3 great pieces that he did all led to goals. And that's the difference in this. And you're talking about a world-class player that can maybe be held quiet, but then just comes to the fore when it matters and makes the difference.
Absolutely. I mean, look, he's getting up there in age. We all know that, but he still has the smarts. He still has the brains. He's still methodical with the ball, and he can place it perfectly for a brilliant pass to set up a dangerous chance. And like I said, I mean, for most of the match, I thought the Whitecaps, they did enough where I thought they're going to take it, but once again, like you said, the fullbacks love to go forward a little too much, and the abandonment of those positions allowed Messi to take advantage of the last 2 goals.
Yeah, I think as well, when it went to 2-1, Miami also did a very good job at shutting the game down. And the Whitecaps didn't really get a chance after it had gone to 2-1. They just couldn't get back into the game. I think the long season, the injuries, the substitutions, everything kind of started to take its toll. And Miami's game management towards the end was like first class. They did what they needed to do. They broke the game up. They didn't allow the Whitecaps to get back into a flow. And the Whitecaps needed to get that go-ahead goal at 1-1. And when it went to 1-1, they were the team in the ascendancy, but they just didn't make the most of that next 10-minute spell. And even at the end of the first half, they had a slew of chances, but they didn't really have the final touch. Thomas Mueller, as much as he was maybe pulling strings in the first half, wasn't creative the way that he needed to be, didn't kind of burst the game open. Brian White was kept quite subdued, but was better in the second half. And Miami just saw the game out quite comfortably once they went ahead 2-1.
Did you feel they also targeted Sebastian Berhalter? To me, I mean, I know he's your set piece taker, but to me, he was also, I felt, a bit subdued at the same time.
Yeah, but they had to, because in the two legs of the Champions Cup, Berhalter was immense and was the best player in that game, hands down, and really put Miami to the sword over these two games. So they learned from that. And I know Mascherano's had a lot of criticism over the year and the start of the year. But what I would say about him is he's learned, and he's learned from his mistakes. And it's something like Jesper Sorensen in his post-game chat to media on Monday here in Vancouver had said he knows he's made mistakes this year and he needs to learn from that. And his management team challenge him when he's made a mistake, and he wants him to continue to do that. And that's what it is. These are two young coaches. They're learning. And if you don't learn from your mistakes, you're never going to be a top coach. I liked the respect between the two. It was clear before the game, after the game. I mean, during the game, everything goes out the window, and it was quite a feisty game. But Miami learned a lot from those first two games as to the danger and who they needed to shut down. And they did it quite well.
You know, I have to go and give Jesper Sorensen a lot of credit for what he has done to elevate the Whitecaps. They have been tremendous all season. Of course, there's always going to be a little bit of a down here and there during a club season, you know, whatever have you. But still, though, what he has done to elevate the club has been tremendous. And just to see the entire city going crazy for the Whitecaps. And at the same time, I know Thomas Mueller coming over really made it into stratospheric levels. But does this now say about Vancouver, now a soccer city in Canada?
I mean, it always has been. Like going back to the NASL days, it's been the hotbed. So many players from the national team in the past. Canada were at the 1986 World Cup, and a big bulk of that squad was players from Vancouver and from British Columbia. So it's always been a hotbed. They've just not had the team in the MLS era to back up the support that is there. And there's a lot of like different immigrant populations here as well. There's a lot of UK expats. There's a lot of Eastern European expats, Italians as well, that all come from football countries and have maybe looked down a little bit at MLS over the years. I think now, with the kind of football that Vancouver play, it's attractive. And it's the kind of football that will attract these fans. So they got them out in numbers this year. The task now is to make sure they come back next year. And the core of this squad is going to get kept together. It's a very young team, and they will improve. They'll bring in some players to strengthen different areas. But it's hard when the bar has been set so high, as Jesper Sorensen has done this year, and you've broken all the club records imaginable. It's hard to then better that next year. But that is the challenge, that you speak to everyone at the club and they're like, oh, we want to better that next year. And the next step is they've got to 3 finals this year, four if you include the Western Conference final. They've won 2, lost 2 if you look at it that way. So now the 2 big ones, Champions Cup, MLS Cup, they need to take, the next step is to win one of those.
Exactly. You know, I know that TSN was also at Chase Stadium on Saturday afternoon. They had their opportunity to speak with MLS Commissioner Don Garber. His words, obviously, thank God for YouTube, I can watch it, and of course, social media. You know, he basically said, "Look, it's time to get out of BC Place, and they could, for the Whitecaps to build their own stadium." Now, obviously, we all know. I know the story The owner has land. He wanted to build his stadium on his own land. The government prevented him from building the stadium originally on his own land, which I found kind of stupid. I'll say it, stupid, because why are you interfering with this guy's own the land he owns? He actually owns the property. He can do whatever he wants with it. I didn't understand why they would prevent him from allowing him to build a stadium. But now it's time for the provincial government and for the city government to come together with the Whitecaps and actually build a stadium where they can actually do something great. I think it's time to allow them to build that stadium. And look, BC Place, I know there's already you've mentioned it before on the show. There's already a new agreement out there for, I don't know how many years it is, but they have come to an agreement.
Well, they haven't yet.
Oh, they haven't. I'm sorry.
No.
I thought you said they did. My fault.
No,
My apologies.
they are playing there next year, but
Yes.
there's no agreement. So right now, at the end of this year, there's nothing signed. It's still getting worked on.
I see. Okay. Well, hopefully it does get worked on. But look, I would, and if anyone from Vancouver is watching this show, I know Michael will post the link for you can watch the episode as well. I am rooting for every Whitecap supporter that the Whitecaps can finally build that stadium that not only Vancouverites deserve, but Canadian soccer fans deserve and the national team deserves, because as great as BC Place is, it's time to, have your own ground.
Yeah. The problem the last time was all the NIMBYs. All the house owners and the condo owners, they didn't want the traffic, the noise, the disruption of games going in their neighborhood. And the local businesses and the local homeowners associations got so loud and put so much pressure on the city that the city withdrew the support for it. And that's why it fell down before. Now, they're going to have some similar issues this time around. The local neighbours are not going to be overly happy at the current development. It's going to be on the grounds of the P&E, which is basically the exhibition grounds. Mm-hmm. And it's where the race course that has been there since 1889, they announced on Friday that they are shuttering. So they are now going to be no more. So it's clear now for this deal to get done. Mm-hmm. And at some point this week, there is going to be an announcement made. We believe this week, it could be next week, but we think it's going to be this week, that the Whitecaps are going to have an MOU in place, giving them a period of time to negotiate with partners to develop that site the way they want it, which is going to be the Tsleil-Waututh First Nation getting the casino rights. Mm-hmm. The Whitecaps will have the stadium rights. There'll be residential accommodation. There'll be restaurants, probably cinema, an entertainment complex. So they'll have a business building partner as well. So that looks like it's going to be coming out this week, but they still have to get through planning, and they still have to listen to the possible complaints from the neighbourhood, because there's not a lot of public transit in that area. So a lot of people will want to drive. It is on the site where we have our P&E, our big fair, for 3 weeks of the summer every August, and it attracts tens of thousands. So they are used to that coming into the neighbourhood. But there's a difference between 3 weeks of the year and 8-9 months of the year. So we'll see what the complaints are. But, I mean, ultimately, if this fails again, then the Whitecaps will leave the city, I feel. And it would be understandable why they would, because the current ownership group, you'd be like, well, I've tried to build a stadium twice. Mm-hmm. You don't seem to want to support us in this. Why should we be here?
Mm-hmm. No, very true. And hopefully there can be an answer, and hopefully be for the Whitecaps and for the sport of football and soccer in Vancouver. Michael, as always, I appreciate your time. Great draw, I think. Cartagenas in the first round for the Whitecaps in the Champions Cup. Vancouver FC going to get, who they're going to get. They're
They're
going
going
to
to get
get
hammered by
Cruz
Cruz
Azul.
Azul.
I know. It'll be over before the shouting starts.
Yeah. Whitecaps have a
Unfortunately.
tough quarter because they'll
Yes.
face Seattle after that.
Mhm.
But I mean, if everything goes well, we're on another collision course with Miami in the semifinals.
Exactly.
I'm kind of sick of seeing Miami and Fort Lauderdale areas because Scotland are also there in the World Cup for their Brazil game.
Yep.
So it's like I've never been to Miami before this year. Now I might have 4 trips in the space of just over a year. So that's too much for me with that heat.
Well, I'll help you with the hotel room because I'm not far where I live right now. I'm not far away from the Hard Rock Stadium, so you need some help with the lodging. I'll give you a helping hand. I promise.
Oh, I will hold you to that. That might be the one Scotland game I don't actually do. I might end up going to the other 2 in Boston instead and selling
Oh,
my
come
ticket.
on
But
down here. I'll take you to
well,
a good
it
steakhouse.
clashes with a game, and I've got tickets for that as well. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
Canada, Switzerland, Scotland, Brazil.
Oh,
Scotland's
darn.
not going to beat Brazil, and from selling those tickets, I'd get them more money from selling the Brazil ticket, I think.
Yeah, I guess so. All right. Well, Michael, thank you for your time as always. I appreciate it. I'll talk to you in the new year. Happy holidays to you and your family, and tell everyone at the Whitecaps press corps I said hi and hope they all do well.
You too, Daniel. Have a great holiday period.
Thank you, you too. Michael McColl away from the numbers in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, as of course the Vancouver Whitecaps unfortunately falling is the runners-up in the 2025, I'm getting ahead of myself here, MLS Cup Final. But joining me now, of course, his first ever MLS Cup championship as a supporter of this Inter Miami club. This man who had no fear anymore, ready to go, celebrated like the madman that he is, from Futbol Miami TV, the one and only Pieter Brown joining me tonight. There it is. Look at that. He's waving it all, the towel and everything. Pieter, welcome back. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That was a hell
I worked
of a
hard.
match. Yes.
I worked hard.
Yes. Sitting in your seat and cheering like a madman. I know.
I worked hard for that trophy.
I got to ask you, what was the vibe like at Chase Stadium? Obviously, it's not a regular season match. It's not a playoff match. This is for an actual championship. Did this mirror the Open Cup final several years ago, or
Bigger.
was this a higher level of insanity?
Yeah. Bigger, better, wilder. I've been to every Inter Miami game. I might have missed 1 or 2 in their entire history, just being out of town or something. This was definitely the most electric the stadium has ever felt. We did a game day vlog where we're yelling and screaming through every second of the game, which normally it's not like that. It's just not. As South Florida fans, you're getting excited when there's something to be excited about. This game was the entire game. The level of excitement was off the chains. It was the coolest environment I think I've been to in this country. I've seen some games in Brazil that might have been a little bit bigger, but as far as the environment, but here in South Florida, this was the wildest, the biggest, the best feeling. And the fact, the way, and I'm sure we'll get into it, but the way the game kind of went, you were sitting on the edge of your seat, nervous energy throughout the entire game. It was amazing.
Mm-hmm. No, I really was very happy to see a lot of Miami fans in the stadium. Good amount of Vancouverites as well. 1,500 went into that section behind. I believe it's the southern end of the stadium behind the net, more to the right side of it. When the match was going on and you get the opening goal, own goal, of course, were you shocked that happened? That was kicked in by a Vancouver Whitecap player?
I mean, shocked in the sense that we're kind of used to going down a goal and having throughout this entire season and having to come back. The fact that it happened so early, I mean, the fact that it was an own goal, I felt like it was, if the cross had gone the way it was intended to go, it would have been a goal anyways, right? So Vetti was there on the other end. He would have just tapped it in. It would have been a goal. So luckily, the way it worked out, own goal, whatever. It was just the speed of which it happened. It was fast. So that, was, right then you knew that in these kind of games, the first team that scores generally wins. So it felt pretty good right there. But again, we know this team. We know that our weakness is our defense. We were nervous as hell, even after that first goal.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, like I said with Michael, it felt like Vancouver started to work themselves into the match, into the final, went into halftime. It all depends on who makes the adjustments, who goes out in the second half, and who either keeps the lead or who finds the equalizer. And it looked like Vancouver not only finding the equalizer by Ali Ahmed, but if it doesn't go double doink and triple doink off of the posts, that's 2-1 Whitecaps. And that's a different feeling in that stadium, I think.
The 12th man was the goalpost. I mean, it was huge. It was that one, and I think if I remember correctly, there was another goalpost situation as well. So, yeah, Vancouver probably for the game, probably the better team that night, right? But as everybody knows, when you play Inter Miami, if you don't capitalize on those chances, if you don't get it in, there's going to be a moment of magic. And this is on a night that it's funny to say, second game in a row in these playoffs that we could say it was kind of a slow night for Messi. And it's funny to say that when you see that that assist that he makes, just popping the goal, out of the air and giving it to Allende later on in the game. But it was a bit of a slower game for him, in the fact that with that, we still, were able to come out with a victory. But Vancouver definitely, I think, were the stronger team. It was, for a good chunk of it. And the surprising thing is that our defense held, because it's not our strength. Something hopefully they'll address this offseason, but definitely not our strength. So, but it's just the story that you hear all commentators talking about. If you don't bury your chances, Inter Miami is going to make you pay for that. And we did.
Yeah. And I think taking advantage of the fullbacks going forward way too much from Vancouver really put Messi in a great position to set up for not just the Rodrigo de Paul goal, but of course the Tadeo Allende goal in second half stoppage time to put that final nail in that coffin to finally give Miami that big championship you guys been waiting for a very long time.
Yeah, and how about that DePaul goal? I mean, we've kind of on our channel, we've kind of given him a bit of a hard time this entire season, because not that he's a bad player, he's good, but is he worth $17 million that we're going to have to pay for him? He's on loan this year. Next year he'll be a DP, and we're going to have to pay $17 million to get him. Is he worth that? So far, the answer is no. But in that one game, he had the game of his life, right? Not just because of the goal, but everything else he did in this game. But the goal, putting the cherry on the top, DePaul had a great game. Allende talked about that the coach all season was telling him, Mascherano was telling him, look, as soon as Messi gets the ball, run. He will find you. And it might have taken Allende a little while to get that to click or to get his touch, because he had so many opportunities. He should have, 30 goals this year, a lot more than what he has, because of the opportunities that he missed. But at this tail end of the season, those chances all went in. And he just learned, Messi gets the ball, you sprint. And he's got the speed. He could get free. He could get behind the defense. And again, like you mentioned, Vancouver pushing up, and I understand Vancouver pushing up, because high pressing and things like that have hurt Inter Miami. So it made sense. And they've had success against Inter Miami. So they kind of knew what to do. But again, it was a slightly different team than it was when we faced them earlier in the year. Without Suarez, and then with Allende being in better form. Silvetti wasn't with the team back then. Now he is. So that balance on both sides. I mean, it's exciting. The thing is now is Allende, as good as he is at the end of the season, he was frustrating most of the year. they've got to find a way to bring him back. He is on loan. He's an on loan player from, I think the club is Lannis, if I'm saying that right.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm bad with pronunciations, but they've got to find a way to bring him back. I mean, the form that he's currently in, they need to bring him back somehow, some way, extend the loan. But if they have to buy him, does that mean DP? He's not a DP player, clearly, but I don't know how they make that happen. But they've got to find a way to get him back in the club next year.
What does it say about the ownership group of Jorge Mas and his family joining forces with David Beckham to finally get that MLS Cup championship? What does that say in your opinion, about what they have done to make this club what many South Floridians wanted it to be?
So for some of us South Florida fans, look, there's a lot of Inter Miami fans that came in because of Messi, but there is a core group of us, and you know this because we've known each other for a long time, that were fighting for Major League Soccer to come back to South Florida the minute it left. Some of us were fans of the Fort Lauderdale Strikers, and then the Miami Fusion, and then the Strikers again, and Miami FC and all that. So it's like we suffered for this. It's how we felt. We suffered to finally get this, and to finally have an owner like Jorge and Jose Mas, along with David Beckham, that is willing to buck the system, right? They are disruptors. They are coming into this league and trying to make things change. A lot of we are the villains of the league, and we can relish in that. But I bet you most fans, Vancouver would love to have a Jorge Mas. You want an owner that is willing to push the envelope. Maybe too far at times, but willing to push the envelope and bring in the players. He promised, like you said, freedom to dream. He promised the ability to dream for championships. And he said he would bring the highest quality players, that he would deliver championships and all that. Very kind of braggadocious kind of guy, can rub people the wrong way at times, but that as a fan, you want that, so he's willing to open up the pocketbook. And again, he's willing to push the league in new directions, and hopefully this win shows the rest of the league that, hey, this is where the league should be going, spending more money, bringing in bigger name players, opening those pocketbooks so that other teams can also kind of do something similar. There are a handful of teams in this league that really want to spend big, so they should be able to. So yeah, having an owner like Jorge Mas along with David Beckham, it's what more can you want as a fan of a team?
No, I agree. I mean, they have basically put their money where their mouth is. They've done great things. I mean, I just remembered seeing an old photo of old Lockhart Stadium. Stands were there. The field was an absolute travesty.
Yeah.
So much weeds and horrible, not kept well, the pitch. And then here comes the Moss brothers, the Moss family. Here comes David Beckham. We promise to take care of this. We're going to tear this down. We're going to bring it up. We're going to give you a brand new stadium that you all want. It's going to be temporary because we are going to build a better stadium. And that better stadium will be ready by this coming April. Yep. And, but they'll still play some games in that other stadium in Fort Lauderdale. But everything they've done stadium-wise has just been tremendous.
How many teams can say they have two soccer-specific stadiums? We hosted an MLS Cup in a temporary venue, and that temporary venue is probably as good as some of the MLS teams. I've heard it was similar to the one in San Jose, build-wise, design-wise. I haven't been over there. But, they spent millions and millions of dollars, a commitment to Fort Lauderdale. And now, look, Fort Lauderdale was not their preferred location. They tried many, many times to build something in Miami. It didn't work out. Fort Lauderdale basically gave them that land. And so which ends up being the best of both worlds, because you then become South Florida's team. The players the training facility is there next to the stadium. Players will come to work Monday through Friday, basically training and in Fort Lauderdale, and then eventually next year playing their weekend games in Miami Freedom Park next to the Miami International Airport. Best of both worlds. It is South Florida's team, but the commitment that this ownership group has made. I walked through that stadium. I've been in Lockhart many times. Grew up going there from the 70s all the way through. I even kind of snuck in a little bit when it was exactly as you mentioned. There were trees growing in the middle of the pitch. I did a video inside that stadium. It was sad that what it had fallen down to. Even the last version of the Fort Lauderdale Strikers, while the pitch may have looked okay, the stands looked pathetic. So the fact that this ownership group tore it down, built something better, and look, that stadium, as temporary as it might be, it's not going anywhere. They may remove some stands. There's been talk about potentially removing the end zones and things, and the corner seats for sure will go away. So it may be reduced capacity a little bit, but it is going to be the two teams home. And then there's been talk about a potential NWSL team calling that place home. It will be used for something. I'm sure high school football teams can probably use it as well. So it's definitely going to get some use for the community. It's not going anywhere. So it's not really temporary.
No. And thank God for that, because it would be a shame to leave it empty. I mean, look, I know the two team using it is a good thing. Other soccer clubs, whether it be amateur, maybe even the college games could be used over there. The colleges could probably use it as a home field advantage. So there's definitely some positives to continue to use Chase Stadium. But also, I know I can't wait for the new stadium down at Freedom Park, because the Tri-Rail station is just going to be across the street from the stadium.
I have done a couple of videos that are on our channel on Football Miami TV where you can watch me taking the Tri-Rail to Miami Freedom Park from the Deerfield Beach, and also taking Brightline, doing two different kind of trips. The problem with the Tri-Rail is, and Inter Miami needs to try to work out a deal with Tri-Rail. You can get down to the stadium, but you can't get back, right? Games, it doesn't run late. So that'll be the problem. But that is the issue is they have a deal with Brightline. Yep, you're a Tri-Rail guy. They do have a deal with Brightline, so you got to wonder if it's going to have any kind of conflict or what have you. So they will definitely have Brightline, but Tri-Rail is so Brightline will not take you directly to the stadium. Brightline will take you. You'll have to take a bus. No different than what they're currently doing at Chase Stadium. They take you to Fort Lauderdale. They bus you over for free. It can work, but yes, Tri-Rail drops you off on the doorstep basically. And if they could work out a deal where the Tri-Rail does run late, which has happened for certain events. I know it happened for the Taylor Swift. My daughter's a Swiftie. So it has happened on occasion. So Inter Miami definitely needs to work out that deal, because living in North Broward, close to Boca, would love to have that opportunity to take the train, and for like $5 round trip on the weekend. Come on now. It's going to be a beautiful stadium. They don't have a ton of parking. They've got about 4,500 spaces in garage. Not a ton of parking, but the research says that's about average for the amount of seats. They figure 4 people per car, even though, let's be honest, it's not realistic in South Florida. So they're going to count on some sort of public transportation. So hopefully they work out all the situations. But I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a beautiful stadium. The progress they're making is really, really great. The Moss family has proven under a tight deadline, they can get it done. They turned around Chase Stadium very, very quickly. So if you drive by Miami Freedom Park now, you might think, I don't know if they're going to make it. They'll make it.
No, I believe they will. Absolutely. So the draw was just done for the CONCACAF Champions Cup. I know Inter Miami will begin in the round of 16. They will be, if I can get my thing up here, they will be in the 5th position for the round of 16. So whoever wins the A5 B5 matchup, which would be LAFC or Real España, I believe, that's going to be the big matchup there. Peter, what do you think about that?
I mean, all the reports that I'm seeing
Mm-hmm.
are that we would end up playing Nashville most likely.
Oh, Nashville. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So it'll be
So it says
the
even Nashville is tweeting out that Nashville will play Atletico Ottawa in the CONCACAF Champions Cup.
That's correct.
And
Yep.
Miami is waiting for them in the round of 16. So you imagine
No,
Nashville.
you're right. I'm sorry. I miscalculated on that one. That's my
fine.
bad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep.
Look, I didn't watch the draw. I just used Twitter.
I have to watch it.
Yeah. So the funny thing is, how many games, man, there's been so many games that are important that we played against Nashville. Look, we came into the league at the same time. We've played so many meaningful games against them. They should be our biggest rival. I don't know if anybody really considers that, but as far as like meaningful, heated games, it's always Nashville. We're always meeting them when it counts. Not, maybe not in this offseason, but playoffs, but every other tournament.
Yeah. No, absolutely. As we continue on here, obviously this is it for Sergio Busquets, Jordi Alba. I'm assuming this is the end of Luis Suarez.
Figure. Yeah.
You got 3 world-class footballers leaving and going and riding off into the sunset. Where do you think Miami is going to be now for next season? Who do you think will come in to replace those positions?
I mean, there's a rumor that Sergio Reguilon is coming in for Alba. I don't know who they have. But that's just a rumor. Don't know who they have planned for Busquets' position. But Jorge Mas did say in an interview post-game that they've already got those players lined up. It's already practically a done deal in their opinion. So whoever they are, it sounds like they're ahead of the curve. So hopefully it all works out. The players that they think they should be getting. What I would like to see is someone like Yannick Bright, getting an opportunity to step up and get a lot more playing time in that position that Busquets was playing. I think he's really shown himself. So giving him an opportunity to really step. He's got a new contract this year, so he'll be with us for a while. So that'll be interesting. But there's several players that their contracts are done, right? So they're even including Ian Frey, his contract is over. Now you assume they're going to renew his contract and they're going to find a way to make it happen. But as of right now, as of today, it's not a done deal. So even Ian Frey, the academy product that has kind of a breakout after so many injuries that he's had, I think 3 ACL or MCL, something like that. So there's players like him. There's Allende, even our goalkeeper Rocco Rios Novo is on loan. So we have quite a few loan players that are going to be going out. Cello Weingart is on loan as well. So you figure he's probably going as well. You're going to see quite a bit of turnover on this team. So interesting to see what they have planned. The interesting thing with Inter Miami is that every player is rumored to come to Miami. So I don't get too excited about any of the rumors until they make official announcements, because everybody's rumored.
Yep, that's very true. So we'll have to wait for those rumors to be confirmed, and then we'll talk about it. Other than that, how's Ed doing, and how's he holding up? Has he cried? Has he become a shell of his former self? What has that man done to himself?
I mean, in our game day vlog, I think you might see him shed a tear. I think he shed a tear or two. Him and our old friend Julio is there as well, the guys that are founding members of the Supporters Club Southern Legion. So they're Ed is just eating it all up. He's constantly sending me more videos to watch of somebody talking about the game, whether it be CBS Golazo or ESPN. If there's a video out there talking about Inter Miami, Ed's finding it and sending it to me. He's still riding high right now, as we all are. It's again for a couple of old guys like us that were there from the beginning. And when I mean beginning, I'm not talking about the beginning of Inter Miami. I'm talking about way back. And I have a photo that I posted on our podcast of me and another friend, Julio, passing out flyers back in 2008 for Marcelo Clore when he was trying to bring MLS with Barcelona as his partner. We were passing out flyers to try to drum up interest. We were going to the FIU football games. We were going to youth tournaments. We were going to malls, anywhere we could. We were the guerrilla marketing team. So some of us have been working towards doing what little bit we can as a fan to drum up support. So for us, man, it is just it's amazing for everybody, but I think it's maybe a little bit extra special for us, and also the fact that we lost our MLS team in the Miami Fusion, and everybody talked trash about South Florida, saying we did not deserve another chance, and here we are with the biggest brand in MLS. I mean, you see the pink jerseys everywhere around the world. We are the global brand of MLS right now. And yeah, the most hated team in MLS. And we're happy about that.
Well, look, congratulations. You got all the way into the new year to still celebrate this championship, Peter. Obviously, it's a great time, of course, being an Inter Miami supporter. And, of course, great time if you are a Miami fan to watch Futbol Miami TV, like you're running the whole situation. And look, all I can say is keep on going, keep on feeling good, and just get ready for next year. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah, I mean, just like Messi did back-to-back MLS MVP, we got to do back-to-back MLS Cups. That's it.
We'll wait and see. You know how this
do
league is. Well, we'll wait and see. Enjoy this one first. Worry about the second one next year when you start up again. All right.
I'll calm down a little bit.
All right. Good. Congratulations again, Peter. Hope to talk to you again soon. Happy New Year and happy holidays for you and your family. And hope to have you back on next year. Okay.
We'll definitely do it. Happy holidays.
All right. Thank you. You too. Peter Brown, Futbol Miami TV, Inter Miami defeating the Vancouver Whitecaps by a final of 3-1. And what can you say? Look, two good guys covering their clubs, and it's just been tremendous to watch what this past season has been. 30 years of MLS now in the books, and now we got a World Cup coming. It's going to be exciting. We got a lot of things coming, more to talk about, and as we'll continue on, of course, it should be a lot more fun here on the Feuerstein's Fire American Soccer Show. Join me this Thursday night. I'll be joined by Brett Mullenix and Alex Ashton from Beyond the 90 as we will discuss U.S. Soccer's changes for the 2026 Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup, the 2026 edition. Some positives, some negatives. We're going to all talk about it on Thursday night. And then next week, we'll talk about the World Cup. And we will be inviting next week in the back end all those clubs who qualified for the 2026 Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. But I want to thank my guests tonight. I want to thank Michael McColl from Away from the Numbers in Vancouver, British Columbia. And I'd also like to thank Peter Brown from Futbol Miami TV. My name is Daniel Feuerstein. Thank you very much for watching me tonight. I hope you all enjoyed it. Once again, please subscribe to the Feuerstein's Fire American Soccer Show. And as always, please enjoy your football. Thank you. Take care so long and have a good night. And bye-bye for now. Have a good night, everybody.